Of it. Running the floor. Embiid stuffs it.
Harden for three. James Harden with his second triple.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pick Swap Podcast. I'm here today doing something a little different with a special guest, the guy that was drafted 8th overall in 2014, the 19th all-time Sixers franchise record for made three-pointers, Nik Stauskas. Nick, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you? I appreciate you having me on here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Super thankful for you coming on. So to start out with, you came to the Sixers at a very interesting time in franchise history, all about the process, very widely critiqued, controversial. What were your expectations coming to Philadelphia, and did they live up to this?
To be honest, I didn't really have many expectations coming into Philadelphia. Like after my rookie year, when I got traded there, I very much was aware of the situation in terms of it being the process, and even just looking at the roster at that time, I didn't even know all the players on the roster. So I knew that it was going to be a developmental phase for all of us. And at that time, we didn't really have any guys over 21, 22 years old. So we were super young, super inexperienced, but, I enjoyed my time there. Philly was my longest tenure with any team. I was there for 3 seasons, and I created some great friendships on and off the court. And even throughout the losing, we were still able to have fun. Like I said, we had such a young group that, at times, even though it was, we were struggling, we kind of embraced the situation we were in and just tried to make the most of it. And, still to this day, some of those guys that were on that team, whether, TJ, Robert Covington, they're some of my closest, friends that I have in the league. So I definitely cherish those relationships and those those times that we shared together.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear too. And it's interesting to me. It is so criticized, obviously, because of the losses and the record and everything. But just watching the Sixers back then and you on the team at that time, there was something just pure and fun, just the way everybody was competing and playing. How did you feel about the culture in general of the team, or the effects of building at that point?
The culture was good. The problem for us really is, especially my first year there, which was 2015, 2016, we were so young that we didn't know how to close games. And, I would say probably 15, 20 games that season where, we go into the fourth quarter with, a 2 or 3 point lead. And, even in the last couple of minutes, we're up 2 or 3 points. And then, we would just find a way to lose games. And as a competitor, that's always frustrating because, losing's tough for all of us. But I feel like just that situation that we were in made it tougher, just, knowing how close we were to kind of getting over the hump, but not being able to reach it. And, this was obviously before we had Ben out there, before we had Joel out there. So, it really was a bunch of role players trying to figure it out on our own at such a young stage of our career. But like I said, we cherish those moments, and, I was able to build some good friendships, and more than anything, as a young guy, you just gain experience, getting to play through mistakes, getting to play in those, late game scenarios, where you're down 2 or up 2. They're valuable for any player. So, nonetheless, I think we all enjoyed having that opportunity to go prove ourselves and play in those situations.
Gotcha. And a guy you brought up there was Joel Embiid. Obviously, making mainstream news for the performances he's put on this year and just the star he's developed into. He was drafted in 2014, and you were there for the first 2 seasons of him being actually on the court. What was it like the early the process of Joel joining the team, and obviously the unique aspects surrounding him?
Yeah, I think, and again, I don't, I'm not around as much now with Joel, but from afar, it seems like he's really matured in a way. And he's just earlier in his career, he was so vocal on Twitter, and he was always joking around with people. And he's definitely, I feel like he's become a little more serious about things, which is good to see. I mean, it's just the maturity of any player. But yeah, I feel like when Joel first came in, he was so naturally talented, so, big and strong. And at that point, he wasn't thinking the game. He was just going out there and playing off of pure instincts or whatever. So you could see that raw talent or whatever. And for me now, it's cool to, fast forward 6 years later and to see him put it all together in terms of he may win the MVP this year. And you're like, damn, like he really figured it out mentally and physically. Like he's been able to overcome all the naysayers that, said that he was always hurt and, he wasn't going to be healthy enough to play. Like he overcame that, and just the mental side of things in terms of like being able to lead a team and have that kind of poise and that maturity that he shows now. Like it shows growth, and I'm proud of him for sure, because he's come a really long way to get to this point. And from someone who is like so goofy and so like laid back early on in his career to see what he's become now, it's fun, and I'm proud of him and happy for him as well. He deserves this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Head coach Brett Brown at the time was, obviously did such a unique situation as a coach to manage all that. And I think he's one of the few guys that would have been able to handle it as well as he did. What was your experience being coached by Brett, and your thoughts on him?
I loved Coach Brown. And, I think there's not many coaches that could have been able to, properly coach that team for that many years, going through the situations that we had gone through. And I know for him, like there was probably a lot of days where he wanted to pull his hair out and he was super frustrated, but he always came in with a smile on his face and was upbeat and was always trying to rally us and, get us to buy in. And I think he did a great job of that. Obviously it didn't, in the long run, didn't work out for him, and the franchise decided to go in a different direction in terms of coaching. But I cherish my time with him, and still to this day, he was one of my favorite coaches I've played for. Really enjoyed my time with Brett Brown. I got nothing but good things to say about him. So, I know most of the guys on the team feel the same. Most of the guys from the process days feel the same way. Like, he gave us, opportunity, which as a young guy is all you can ask for. And he encouraged us, gave us confidence, all those different kind of things. So I definitely love him.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And I was a big Brett Brown fan as well. Hope he gets another chance somewhere soon. A question I've been dying to ask you for a while: how did the nickname Sauce Castillo happen?
That happened my rookie year when I was in Sacramento, and it was during a game. There was a closed captioning error, and I hit a 3-pointer, and instead of it saying Nik Stauskas for 3, it said Sauce Castillo for 3, and for whatever reason, that was like the autocorrect or mistake that was made. And I guess the fans just ran with it. Like it became kind of like one of those viral things on Twitter where like people took a screenshot of it. And then, I don't know, it just stuck and people kept calling me it. And then, next thing I know, I'm like only Sauce. So still to this day, like when I'm back in Philly and like people see me on the street, like I don't think anyone calls me Nick. Like Philly fans will only call me Sauce. So if the people like it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, totally awesome nickname. To fast forward a little bit from your time in Philly, you recently made some news, set a franchise record for the Grand Rapids Gold by scoring 57 points in a game on 11 of 15 shooting, and also followed up the next night with a 43-point performance, which I think is just as impressive as well. So what was it like your time in the G League and just this overall performances in general?
Yeah, it was. So I played in the G League the last 2 seasons, and it was definitely. I would say it was a positive experience for me, and I'm a little bit. A lot of guys kind of spend time in the G League like earlier in their career, and for me, it's kind of come towards like my late 20s. As a chance to kind of get back into the league, and it was definitely tough at times. But for me personally, I feel like there was a lot of positives to take away from it, especially in terms of just gaining confidence and being able to just like play freely and not necessarily have to like be worried about a shot going in or out or being taken out the game because I did this. And for me, it gave me a chance to kind of like gain my confidence back and just play basketball again. And that's something that I didn't always get to do in the NBA, in terms of whether when I was on the court, my role was more to kind of like space the floor and like stand in the corner and like be one of those guys, or, just sometimes not getting the opportunity to play at all. Like, as a player, it's tough to kind of find your rhythm when, you're not getting those opportunities. So in the G League, like playing for Jason Terry this year, it was, he gave me a lot of confidence. He gave me a lot of opportunities on the court. And over the course of this season, I just found myself getting more and more comfortable out there in terms of like finding my spots and knowing, where my opportunities were going to come from. And then, I think it was first game in March where we had Isaiah Thomas for maybe like the previous 3 or 4 games with us, and IT was going on a tear in the G League as well. Like he was putting up 40 balls and whatnot. And the first game of March, IT had just got called up to Charlotte, I believe. And so all of a sudden there was like this big chunk of shots or possessions that, you know, he had been kind of using that were kind of up for grabs. And it was one of those things where the game started and the team was going under some dribble handoffs and some ball screens. And I think in the first 2 minutes, they went under 3 separate dribble handoffs. And each time I stopped behind, shot a 3 and hit it. And it's just one of those things, like as a player, you know, you make your first 3 threes in the first 2 minutes, you're like, all right, I got to go in tonight. And I kind of just fed off of that. And my teammates were, you know, kept finding me that game. And next thing I knew, like, you know, start of the first quarter, I had like 30 something. And I was like, all right, well, shoot, maybe tonight's my night. Like, I just got to keep going with it. And then, like you said, the next night, kind of just playing off that same thing, just in my head, just being like, hey, I'm in a great rhythm now. I feel good. Let's just keep it going. And it was a crazy 48 hours because it, in like some ways, like changed my life. You know, I'd been out of the league for 3 years. And, you know, in some senses felt like, man, maybe I'm not going to ever get back because I'd been playing well throughout the G League season this year. And just, I got a 10-day with Miami earlier in the year, but still it wasn't really, you know, as much interest as I would have liked. And, you know, having those 2 games back to back obviously kind of, you know, opened some eyes in terms of, you know, my performance that year. And, you know, thankfully I was able to lock down a deal with the Celtics, but just crazy how, you know, you never know when your time is coming in terms of these opportunities and when things are going to kind of come full circle. And for me, it happened to be those 2 games where, you know, years of hard work and training and whatever kind of like all came together in one moment, which is, you know, sometimes hard to find in life. Sometimes you go years kind of like waiting for, you know, that one degree where things kind of tip the other way. And for me, that's kind of when it was. So I'm happy I stuck with it.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And very cool to see you open up like that. Congratulations on the deal with the Celtics, a 2-year deal. What has it been like getting settled in Boston? And is it difficult kind of at this stage of the season finding a way to find your stride?
It's been great. You know, it's been great being with this team, especially just the timing of when I came in. You know, after trade deadline, the team had, you know, shaken things up a little bit in terms of moving some players and bringing you guys in. And just from what the guys have told me, that the just the chemistry and the whole vibe in the locker room has kind of changed up over the last 2 months. So just as I came in, the team started going on a pretty big winning streak, and they've kind of never looked back since. So, you know, I think since I've got here, we've only lost maybe like 3 or 4 games, and the team's just playing incredible basketball right now. So for me, it's been fun to watch this, but you know, coming in late into the season, the rotation, you know, we've run probably an 8 or 9 guy rotation depending on the game. And right now I'm not in that rotation. So for me, coming in, the challenge is like every day, just, you know, keeping myself as ready as possible in practice and like, you know, continue to play 3-on-3 in practice and, you know, keeping myself as sharp as possible, just because you never know when those opportunities are going to come, you know, especially in the playoffs. But yeah, as of now, man, we're playing some incredible basketball as a team. You know, the defense has been like the number one thing that stood out to me in terms of, you know, guys like Marcus Smart on the perimeter, just hounding the other guards and making things tough for them. And then, you know, having a back line of Rob Williams and Al Horford, and just, you know, seeing this team rotate and communicate on defense. It's, I mean, by far the best defense that I've been a part of in terms of teams that I've played on. So that's been kind of like the main thing that I've noticed as I've been here. And, you know, even on offense too, guys like, you know, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum just really playing at a superstar level, the both of them right now. So everyone's playing with a lot of confidence coming into playoffs. You know, the team's kind of firing on all cylinders and clicking at the right time. So I think we're all very excited to see how far we can go in this postseason run. You know, these last 2 years, it kind of feels like the West and the East, things are like way more open than they have been like the past like 8 to 10 years, maybe, as there's always kind of been like clear favorites. So I think that mentality for all of us is right now, like, why not us? You know, why not us come out the East and you know, play for an NBA championship? So next 2-3 months are going to be very exciting for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Celtics are playing some terrific basketball, like you said. It's been crazy from the start of the year till now, just how much things have shifted in terms of stylistically, and the results are showing that as well. For you specifically, just kind of obviously you still have plenty more to go in your career, but to this point, what are some of the biggest takeaways just being around the NBA, being around professional basketball in general, and your thoughts on that?
I guess over the last couple of years, the thing that I've realized more than anything is like this is truly is the best job in the world. Playing professional basketball at this level, it's unmatched. It's the best job in the entire world, and it's very easy to take it for granted, which I have at many points throughout my career. And over the last couple of seasons, being out of the league and then having to work, harder to get back in. It's, even in this current role of not being in the rotation and, watching games from the bench, I truly do have a new appreciation for things and just holding one of these 450 jobs, because you start to realize how replaceable we all are. There's a select group of guys at the very top, whether, it's Jason Tatum or Joel Embiid or, Steph Curry, LeBron, Kevin Durant, you name it. Those guys are talents that are, far superior than the rest of the league. But, once you go down that short list of guys, you start realizing that everyone's very interchangeable, and if not interchangeable, replaceable. And that's where, you start to find the beauty in, not just making it to the NBA, but how can you maintain that position year after year after year. And as I'm now in my eighth year of my career, it's really started to hit me in terms of, how precious these opportunities and jobs are. So, for me, I'm super grateful to be in this position. And now that I'm back in, it's one of those things where it's like, man, I want to do everything I possibly can to keep myself in this position of, playing for championships, playing in the playoffs, and playing meaningful minutes. That's, like you said, hopefully I still have a long career ahead of me, and there's still so many things that personally, I would like to achieve and experience. So I'm really grateful to be back. But I think my journey throughout the league has just really shown me that, not to take these opportunities for granted, because, it's easy to sit here and not be happy with, maybe not playing or not playing as well as you want to. But the realization that these jobs are so hard to come by, and they're the best jobs in the entire world. They're, we play basketball, like a game that we grew up playing for fun. We get, paid to do it at this level. There's nothing like it. So that's probably the perspective that's changed for me the most over this time.
Gotcha. That's awesome to hear, and very cool to see your perspective on all that. Super grateful for you coming on. Do you have any final words on what's next with Nik Stauskas?
No, hopefully I can hopefully I can win a ring here this year. That'd be kind of a crazy turn of events in terms of starting the year in the G League and then, winning a championship. But no, I'm super excited to be a part of this team here, and in terms of the playoffs moving forward. I appreciate you having me on. And I always have love for for all of Philadelphia. I live in Philadelphia still in the off season. Me and my wife, we live there. So Philly's become home for me, and I still have love for all Philly fans. And so it really means a lot for you to have me on here. And, I would say trust the process, but those days are all over. And at this point, I don't think I can say trust the process, because who knows, we might be seeing you guys in the playoffs.
Very true. I will always live by trusting the process, no matter how far we go down the line. But for real, thank you so much for coming on. Philly, always appreciate your time here. You were always a fan favorite, always somebody that we've rooted for, and it's great to see you doing well in the league. So thanks again for coming on, and see you guys next time on the Pick Swap Podcast.